Welcome from the Daily Dirt from the Salem Smugglers tour. Today we're going to talk about the thing on the doorstep. It was a Lovecraft story. Now the thing about Lovecraft in Salem is that he came up here in the 20s and he visited Salem, Marblehead, and Gloucester. He'll create some fictional towns out of these visits. So Arkham, that appears in most of his stories, is Salem to Ipswich. Innsmouth, that's Gloucester and Ipswich. And to the south, you have Marblehead, it was Kingsport. Well, what I'm standing in now is the parking lot to the Hawthorne Hotel that stands behind me. In this location here was the original spot for the Crown and Shield Bentley House. And it was a Crown and Shield Bentley House was the setting for that short story, The Thing on the Doorstep. Now the story entails a cousin visiting another cousin. And she's telling her story to her male cousin that she's being possessed by the Crown and Shields and Derbies. Now, as she is telling her tale, she is shrinking into a dwarf as she's relaying her story to her cousin. At the end of her story, she will go screaming out into the commons, which is behind me there. You can see its flagpole in the distance, next to the gazebo. Nowadays, the Bentley Crown and Shield house sits across from the Hawthorne Hotel. Hello, Ashley. And in that house is where The Thing on the Doorstep was set in, which was originally in this parking lot here. So, a fun Lovecraft story about a cousin being possessed by her dead ancestors, the Derbies and the Crown and Shields. And the more she gets possessed and she's telling her tale on the doorstep, she's shrinking into a dwarf. And when she's done with this story and she's shrunking down into this little creature, she goes running out into the commons that's behind me. Also, behind me over here, there's another parking lot on the other side there. You can see the brown building, the white one, and the brick one there. And it's a little bit open. That's a parking lot back there. In case you're ever being chased by vampires in Salem, could be possibly happen. There are emotional vampires, definitely a lot of them. But if you need to find holy ground, make sure you can go into that parking lot and you'll be safe. Because that was a Jewish temple, which is now the holy parking lot. Hello, Matt. Good to see you too. Let's talk about vampires. Matt reminds me, they were sitting in the gathering before they closed up shop. He had stories that he lived in New Orleans for a little while. And while he was in New Orleans, he became what Anne Rice thought was the closest thing to Lestat. So you never know about people and their tales until something happens. We're sitting in a gathering watching movies one day, and a woman's very kind of awkward when she comes into the church there. She sits for a little while watching a movie, and she looks at us strange. And Matt had asked, "Can I help you?" And she's like, "Well, it's kind of a weird thing. I thought I'd seen somebody." And he's like, "Who could you be looking for?" And she looked at him straight in the face and said, "Lestat." At this time, he was more dressed like a pirate these days. He looked her right in the face and said, "No, I can't help you." So I think I found out that Matt usually tells the truth. And I guess he was Lestat for a period of time. Hello, Kristen. Now, we were talking about The Thing on the Doorstep and how Lovecraft created a town called Arkham. Arkham is Salem to Ipswich. And he set a whole bunch of short stories, these horror stories set in these areas. And the stories usually set characters from Salem's past. The derbies and the crown and shields keep showing up in them. Danvers Asylum, or Danvers State Hospital, is Arkham Asylum. The thing about Lovecraft is he liked people to continue his mythos. So other people like Bob Kane from Batman would also have Arkham Asylum in their stories. Now, Danvers State Hospital might have been more spooky in real life than what Lovecraft could actually mention or say. It was a place where they actually perfected lobotomies. Their tunnels coming out of the building actually would scare the Hells Angels out of them because they had seen years of crazy scrawlings on the walls. My friend took them down there one day. Remember, right outside those tunnels, there are the unmarked graves of the people who died in that mental asylum. Hello, Mark. Now, when he took those Hells Angels down there, they didn't last that long. They kind of came out screaming from there. It's also the location where the movie Session 9 was filmed in that state hospital. My friend John Archer, he was trying to preserve the buildings. And what he couldn't preserve, he actually took parts of and added it to his mansion. You look up the New York Times Magazine, an article called Scrap Mansion. You will see the room he created out of the remnants of Danvers State Hospital. He has a spire that was part of the original building. He has the doors that's wainscoting through this addition. We had our 40th birthday party there, being a group of friends. It was fun. But I do have to question why he actually kept the lobotomy set that he got from that hospital. So this is now a parking lot, but it used to be where the house, Bentley Crown and Shield was, that the short story Thing on the Doorstep actually stood before the man decided to move it across from the Hawthorne. After the Depression, I bought all the properties up pennies on the dollar. And he bought that as a rooming house and put it in his location now. The other stuff with Lovecraft is next to the Clue House, the house that the murder of Joseph White had happened in, that the Parker brothers based their version of the game Clue on, is the Essex Institute. The Essex Institute, maybe in the stories of Lovecraft tales, was a Misophonic institute. And also, he writes about the Charter Street graveyard in Pickman's model. So he picks up on a lot of these originally spooky areas anyway in Salem and puts his own twist on things. So, if you ever want to hear more tales from Salem, come on the Salem Smugglers tour. You can find us at www.salemtunneltour.com. And also, we have a murder mystery tour coming up starting this Monday, starting at 8 o'clock. And then it runs Fridays and Saturdays to the end of the month, also the next Monday as well. 2 actors who dress up in period clothing will tell you the murder that the game Clue is based upon. Parker Brothers started a game store. The first toy store was in a location where the Hawthorne Hotel is. The suspect's house, or around the Commons. The murder house the game Clue is based on, is in front of the Hawthorne Hotel and down 2 houses. So we'll let you try to solve the murder mystery and see if the history books have the right person, or the right couple of people that they accuse of the murder. Or is it far more sinister? Could this murder actually go on to affect American history afterwards? So, book a tour on the Mystery Murder Whodunit tour for this Monday and the Friday and the Saturday coming up. at SalemTunnelTour.com. We're a Salem Smugglers tour. And we're more than witches. I hope you enjoyed this little daily dirt from us. Talk to you later. See you later, Mark, and Matt, and Christian.